Thank you for joining us at DynamicsCon. I hope you are learning a lot and having fun. My name is Taylor Dorward, and I'm fairly new to PowerApps, but I am very excited to get started learning it, and I've been enjoying it so far. And it's definitely a lot for me, but I've been enjoying it up until this point. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you some things I learned about it. But before that, I would like to take this time to thank everyone who voted for me to participate in this, because I know I'm not as seasoned as a speaker as many others, especially my father or my dad. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you, and hopefully I can get to do it again. So I want to thank you for that. And also, before we get started, I would also like to give you a little background information about me. As I said, my name is Taylor, but what you may not know about me is about 3.5 years ago, I suffered a brain injury while swimming. And it was an anoxic brain injury, which just means due to lack of oxygen. And what this gave me several different disabilities, including not being able to walk, speak, and the worst one was I was blind. And about 2.5 years of pretty intense therapy and support of my family, friends, and even people in the Microsoft community, which I'm very thankful for, I was able to get relatively back to normal, except my vision is still lacking, but I am learning to live with it, and it's definitely a challenge, but it can be a fun challenge at times, but it definitely makes learning things like PowerApps difficult, and I'll get into that a little bit later. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know all that about me, and that I am relatively new to PowerApps, so these aren't going to be like very experienced and expert thoughts and ideas about PowerApps. It's just going to be me sharing what I've learned so far about PowerApps in the last couple months. So I really hope you enjoy, and let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, and today I'm going to be talking to you, like I said, about PowerApps, and I'm going to be listing the top five things I have learned. And again, I've learned more than just these 5 things, but I would say these 5 things are the most intriguing to me, or the coolest ones in my opinion, or just things I think you would like to know if you are interested in looking into doing PowerApps. And so first I will talk about the play icon and what that can enable you to do and the benefits of using it. And then I will talk about how to create a navigation button, and again, the benefits of using that. And then thirdly, I will talk about the Alt key and the important role it plays in making a PowerApp. And then after that, I will talk about how Excel may not be the best idea to use as a data source for your PowerApp. And then finally, I will talk about the manifest and latent functions of the simplistic layout of Microsoft PowerApps. And if you don't know what manifest and latent functions are, that is totally fine. My dad didn't either, so I can explain them to you later. The first thing I learned about PowerApps, or the first interesting thing I learned about, I'm going to talk to you about, is the use of the play icon in the top right of the screen while you're making the app. And I found this to be pretty interesting. It might not seem that interesting for someone who has been using PowerApps for a while now, but as a beginner I found this pretty intriguing. So, and essentially what it does, if you hit this play icon in the top right, it puts you in what's called like a preview mode. And so when you're just in the PowerApp without the preview mode, you're in the edit screen, and so you can change like text and anything you want. But if you go into preview mode, then you can see how your app would work at that moment in time. Like you could be 5% done or 90% done. You can still do this and kind of get a feel of what your app is looking like so far, and also tell if you need to make any changes or not. And so I think this could be very beneficial for anyone who's using PowerApps to use this, especially if you're like me and would hate to get done with your PowerApp and realize that you made several errors, so I would like to be able to fix them as I make them. And this would be a good way to show you if you have made any mistakes. So I think that would be very good for you to consider using. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to the first thing. And the first thing is I'm going to talk about is the plate icon in the top right of the screen when you're editing your PowerApp. And what this button does when you click it, it puts you in a preview mode. And I really like the preview mode because it lets you know what your app would look like, whether you're 5% done with it or 90% done with it. It still allows you to get an idea if it's shaping up to be what you wanted it to be or not. You can also test and make sure everything's working as it should. Like if you have certain graphics that were supposed to appear but didn't, then you know you can go back and fix that. Or if you have what are called navigation buttons, which I'll talk to you about later because I find those to be pretty cool. You can also test and see if those are working. And so I just think it's a very useful tool on the app to be able to use, like at any point, to know if you're getting everything done the way you wanted it to be done, rather than finishing the app and using it and realizing you made a few mistakes in the past. Alright, next up we're going to talk about navigation buttons, and I recently learned about this, and this is probably one of my favorite tips because I even had an idea for a navigation button because I eventually wanted to get to the point where I can make a PowerApp of my own, and navigation button seems like a fun way to give your PowerApp like a personal touch and allows you to be creative or funny if you want. And even if it's something silly that might brighten someone's day who's using the app, then I think that's great. And so I'll even share an idea I had for a navigation button when I first learned about them. I thought about having a navigation button in my future PowerApp that would have the caption, "Feeling blue" or "Having a bad day" or "Need to pick me up." And then you click on it, and then it would move you to a screen that has a video of me playing with my niece. And again, that might not be as entertaining for other people, but if it was just me using that PowerApp, then I could add a little bit of personal touch to it and just make it more personalized to me and have a little fun with it at the same time. And so yeah, and to create a navigation button is the tricky part. It's not too tricky, but for me it's a little tricky with my vision. So what you do is you go to Insert at the top banner, and then you go down to Icon, and then I'll bring up a list of a bunch of different icons you can choose. And you can pick any one you want, but I would probably go with a smiley face. Where's that smiley face at? Is in there? I thought there was smiley face. I can't see it, so I'll just pick a random one. There it is. There we go. Alright, and then you can insert that icon onto the screen, and if you were just to click on it as the icon, nothing would happen because all it is an icon. You haven't made it enabled to do anything. And so what you can then do is click on it, and they'll put it in edit, and so then you can go to action on the banner, and then you can add navigation to that icon, and then you can tell which screen you want it to go to, and it could go to whatever screen you want to. And for me, it was going to navigate to a screen where it was a video of me playing with my niece, but it can be whatever you want. It could be to a funny picture or an office gif or just any silly online video, whatever you want. And I think that's a really cool, unique aspect of PowerApps that allows you to be a little creative and show a little bit of your sense of humor with your employees and or for whoever is going to be using the app. So that I think is my favorite thing I'll be sharing with you today, and I'm excited to be able to learn more about that kind of stuff and play around with it and see what else I can do with it. Yeah, and I apologize. I don't know why the smiley face wouldn't add. I'll have to figure that out later. I'm still working on this, so I haven't quite mastered it yet, but in due time. So I'll figure that out another time. So next I will move on to the Alt key. And whenever you're making a Power App, in my opinion, the Power App or the Alt key is my best friend when it comes to making a Power App. Because as in, like I said in the previous one, that when you hit the play icon at the top, it brings you into preview mode. But when you use the Alt key, it can let you isolate something you want to have perform. It's like right here, if I hit the Alt key and then click on budget, it'll actually perform as if the app were operational instead of editing that title. And so instead of going in and out of the preview screen, you can individually test things using the Alt key. And for me, I think the Alt key will also be beneficial for me to use using PowerApp, because using it to zoom in on the screen, because that will definitely be helpful with me with my visual impairment. So not sure they'll help many other people, but that's just something that will help me. And that one is not the most exciting tip, but I did find it important to keep in mind when using PowerApps. And then I'll move on to the next one. And next I will be talking about deciding which data source to use for your PowerApp. And originally I decided to use Excel because it just seemed logical, because PowerApps is Microsoft and Excel is Microsoft, so I figured I might as well stick with Excel. And Excel works great if it's a Power App you're using just for you. Like, for instance, my dad wants to build a Power App to measure the pool temperature and make charts out of it. So if it's just for one person, then Excel would be great. But if you're using a Power App and making one for maybe your entire organization or your whole department, anytime you have a lot of other people using the same Power App, it can create some problems. And for an example, say one of your employees went into the Excel file to add data or revise the format or whatever they did to change it. While they're in there making those changes, it locks everyone else out from that Power App and using it. So, and even if that employee made those changes and isn't even working on it anymore, if they left it open and just have it on the background, forgot about it, it will still lock everyone out. So I don't think that using Excel as a data source would be a good choice if you're intending your Power App to be for a larger group of people. In that case, I would recommend SharePoint or Salesforce or whatever you may use. Just probably not Excel if you're using it for a larger group of people. Alright, and then lastly, I will be talking about the manifest and latent functions of the simplistic layout of the Microsoft Power Apps. And for those of you who don't know what manifest and latent functions are, that is totally fine. My father and my mother didn't know either, so I got to teach them a little bit, so that's always nice. And so a manifest function essentially is what the intended function is of something, and then the latent function is what wasn't intended but something it's also good for. So the example I use is Alexa. And Alexa's manifest function, at least in my opinion, their initial reason for making it was to make everything more convenient, whether it be calling your friends, setting the thermostat, looking up sports scores, anything like that. So that would be the manifest or the intended function. But then the latent function of the Alexa, especially in my experience, is it's very helpful in aiding people with disabilities. For instance, I really had a hard time contacting people because I couldn't go through my phone and find the right name and call them. Often I would text or call the wrong person, which was a lot of fun. So Alexa definitely helped me with that, and I could ask her what time it was, and sometimes I would even just have a conversation with her. And if you're curious, her favorite movie is Star Wars. It's an interesting fact about Alexa. And so that would be the latent function. And so in going back to PowerApps, the simplistic layout is the manifest function, or the manifest function for having a simplistic layout, in my opinion, is for Microsoft to make it more accessible and easier for someone, a normal person who may not have experience coding or may not be very good with technology at all, and still give them, but still they can have the opportunity and the ability to make their own app, which I think is pretty cool on their part, that making all this or this kind of technology accessible to everyone and not just people in this field. In the latent function, or the not intended function of the simplistic layout, again from my perspective as someone with a disability, the simplistic layout makes it a lot easier for me to learn about PowerApps and to navigate around the screen and just get a better understanding of how PowerApps works. It's much easier than, say, Excel. Excel is very hard for me to follow and try and operate, but with PowerApps, I was a little intimidated at first learning PowerApps because it's a Microsoft program, and it was very intimidating at first. But when I started learning about it, I realized it wasn't as complicated as I was expecting, and so it actually made me quite excited to know that I could actually learn how to use this tool and perhaps make my own app. Like, for instance, I intend on eventually making an app to help me find an outfit to wear, because I'm terrible at doing that. I often forget what clothes I have because I can't see them. And so I'm excited to be able to eventually make a Power App that would help me find an outfit to wear. Like, I could say what type of shoes I wanted to wear, and I would want it to be able to generate a list of clothing I could wear with those shoes. And I think this could be very beneficial to me with my visual impairment, but honestly, I think it could help anyone with a lot of clothes. Like, for instance, my sister has like 2 closets full, so I'm sure she could benefit from something like that. And so that's it about the manifest and latent functions of PowerApps. And I actually have one more bonus thing I learned about PowerApps, but before I get to that, I want to remind everyone that feel free to say anything in chat. I will do my best to read them and respond. I may need some help with that. But I'd be interested to hear what you think. Like, if you think a different data source would be a lot better for me to use, because I'm still new to this, so I'm definitely open to suggestions about that. Or if you enjoyed hearing about my learning so far with PowerApps, just let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely do my best to try and read them. Alrighty, and now moving on to a little bonus one I have for you. I'll keep it kind of brief because I think I'm running short on time. And so the bonus one I have for you is that I've recently started learning about PowerApps, obviously, and I was nervous because I wasn't sure exactly where I'd be getting all this information. But I was delighted to find out that there are actually a lot of different resources out there for you to learn about PowerApps. Like, for instance, I learned quite a bit just watching people from Microsoft on YouTube, and I've had a lot of fun doing that, and it's been very helpful to me. And I really think you should try that if you are interested in learning more about Power Apps. And even for someone who already knows quite a bit about Power Apps, they still might have some more information for you. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Alright, I think that's all we have for today, and I just want to remind you to send me any comments and let me know what you thought about my presentation, or if you had any feedback. And I will be here for the Q&A starting right about now. And thank you so much for coming.
Oh, that's okay. We're so glad to have you here. Thank you for presenting. That was an excellent session. And we do have a few questions in the comment. First, several comments. Several comments said that folks think that you're a pro speaker, and now they're worried about their session coming up later on today and in the conference. So
I don't think they have to worry.
That's true. That's true. So let's get started with the questions. My first question that's come through for you is, people want to know if they're going to see you at Directions NA or at DynamicsCon Live this year.
Is talking about the one in Orlando and then live in San Antonio?
Correct.
I will be in Orlando in a few weeks or whenever that is, but I do not think I'll be going to San Antonio. But who knows, that might change, but as of this moment, no.
Okay, good to know. So our next question is Isaac says that he is also very new to PowerApps. What has been the resource you've gone to the most when you have questions or when you're trying to learn something new?
When I have questions, I don't really have a place to go for that, but I've learned a lot of what I know now from watching Shane Young on YouTube. He has a lot of PowerApps videos on there, and they're all in a neat playlist for you, so I would definitely recommend checking him out. He's been very helpful for me.
Great, great. So we've got here in the comments, we have lots of awesome jobs. Folks are appreciating this session, especially the comment about teaching your parents a few things. That's always exciting. We now have another question from Miguel. He says, one question he has is, how did you start learning PowerApps? And I'll let you answer that first, and then I'll ask part two.
Well, I guess first was just researching random videos on YouTube, and like I said, there are a lot out there, and then that's actually how I found Shane. And I feel bad because I forget a few others that I had watched, but there were other Microsoft MVPs on YouTube who have really good content, and I was first introduced to it by my dad because I was looking to do something in this field because I've gotten really close to the community and a bunch of amazing people. So I was thinking it'd be great to work alongside them. So that definitely helped introduce me to PowerApps.
Great. So the follow-up to that is, was PowerApps your first endeavor in tech? Is this the first thing you wanted to try?
That's a good question. Yes, it definitely is, because being visually impaired, technology is very daunting and intimidating. So it's especially hearing Microsoft in front of it, it's very intimidating. So I was a little reluctant, but my dad told me about PowerApps and it being one of the newer ones, and so I just figured I'd look into it and try it out. And to this point, I've been enjoying it quite a bit, and it doesn't seem too hard for me to do as a visually impaired person. So that's pretty exciting.
Great. We have another question that's come in. Gail would like to know, what screen reader software do you use?
I don't necessarily have one. Like for Outlook, I just use the read aloud function for my email. And for a while, I tried a thing called Oracam. It was a camera you mounted on your glasses, and it would read whatever you pointed at. And it's a good idea, but it wasn't very functional for a daily life as I was hoping it would be. But and again, like if anyone has any suggestions for me, because I'm new to using technology in this way, so if you have any ideas or suggestions of things that might help me, I'm definitely open to hearing about it.
Excellent. Well, I think we might have a few more questions coming in, but in the meantime, just a little bit more feedback for you from the community. I will say, Kristen
Oh,
would like to, sorry, Kristen would like to make sure that you know that this community loves you, and they're so happy that you're here with us at Dynamics Con again this year, and you've had this session. Are there any final parting words that you might have for our audience today?
Well, first of all, just thank everyone who voted for me to speak to you all today, because I've had a lot of fun doing it and hope I can do it again. And I recently got set up with my email on my computer, so if you do want to ask me more questions, you can email me at taylor@lifehacks365.
Excellent.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Great. Well, another question came in. Actually, two. What is the best way? Oh, you've already shared how to reach you for resources. Darlene was just asking that. And then Michelle would like to know, she's new to PowerApps, and it looks like a small form factor app like a phone. Can you also embed the app into dashboards?
I'm fairly new to it, so I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's pretty cool. You can format the app to whatever device you want to use it on. Like you can have it as tablet version, a mobile, or for your desktop.
Great. All right. Well, that concludes all the questions and the comments that have come through. Thank you so much, Taylor, and we look forward to seeing you again at one of our future events.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for watching.